Hello everybody, my name is King Kawado. Hope you're having an amazing day. Of course, today we're here with a new style of formatted content, right? I want to try something new today. This is going to be half IRL slash unboxing slash review slash discussion video, right? The other half is going to be like a commentary styled video. I want to try something new. You know, this past weekend, as some of you may have noticed, this Saturday and Sunday, I did not post anything on YouTube because I was at my first Comic-Con, which was a crazy experience. I want to talk about it. I bought a lot of things. There were so many things. I was like a little kid in a candy store looking at every single thing. I'm like, oh my god, I want this, I want that. And I couldn't help myself. I bought a lot of things, a lot of really cool things, some Elden Ring things, some God of War, some Resident Evil. I know it was Comic-Con, but I would say like half of the convention was dedicated to like comic books and stuff. The other half was video games, anime. There was TV shows, there was movies, there was a bunch of celebrities there. People like Elizabeth Olsen, aka Scarlet Witch. Both Daenerys Targaryen and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones was there. Andrew Garfield, Brie Larson. Who else was there? There was like so many people. Rikishi, the WWE wrestler himself, which was crazy. I stood like 5 feet away from him. That was an insane experience. And of course, Haley Steinfeld, aka Gwen Stacy from Across and Into the Spider-Verse. It was amazing. I actually saw her in person, right, with my own 2 eyes. Albeit it was from across the room, but it was during like a Q&A section where they, you know, do like a bunch of different stuff. They ask her questions. She talks about like experiences with everything. And it was just really cool. It was my first Comic-Con, like I said. I am a comic book person, right, but I wouldn't consider myself that much to the extent of where like, you know, I'm super pressed to go to conventions and stuff like that. This was my first convention in my entire life of any type, right? And what better way to kick off, right, than Comic-Con, which is, I would say, without a doubt, the biggest convention year-round. It's always so big. I actually was looking at the San Diego Comic-Con coming up in about 2 weeks, which is the biggest Comic-Con of the entire year. And they sold out tickets in November of last year, y'all. Almost a year ago was when they sold out tickets for that. Of course, they're doing resells and stuff like that online, but I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to get into a Comic-Con of that size, right? Like I said, it was super cool, and big shout out to my family, right? I didn't even know I was going until like a week ago. I was talking with my cousins, and my grandma, she was, because the whole discussion was on the table, right? We were talking about how they were going to Comic-Con, and we were talking about Spider-Man, because Across the Spider-Verse just came out at the time, and I was talking about how good it was, and my grandma overheard, and she's like, do you want to go to Comic-Con? I was like, Grandma, that would be amazing. I would love to go. But I figured it was just like a general question, like, are you interested in going, right? Lo and behold, I go home, take a nap. I get woken up from my little cousin, big shout out to you, and he's like, yeah, we need your email. I'm sitting there like, for what? What could you possibly need my email for? He's like, you're going to Comic-Con. We bought you a ticket. And I'm like, what? I did not expect them to buy me a ticket. So big shout out to them. I went with them. It was my first Comic-Con, my first convention of any type. And it was an amazing experience. Like I said, I would consider myself a nerd, right? I'm not probably what you're thinking when you hear the term nerd. But, you know, I grew up on comic books. Spider-Man was always my favorite. I love the Hulk. The X-Men were always really cool to me. Growing up, I just really liked comic book stuff, you know, and I started doing some more research, started watching videos, people like Comic Storian, big shout out to them, people who just like inform you about comic book stuff, right? I grew up on the video games, Ultimate Alliance, stuff like that, and the more I grew up, the more I just really liked it. I just liked the idea of getting lost in like a cool adventure, you know, and superheroes, I think, were a part of everybody's childhood to some extent, right, in one shape or another, especially in my generation with the MCU, one of the biggest things that has ever happened in like media. So it is really cool. I play video games 24/7. I'd say I'm like an expert in video games, so every single thing, right, I was like, oh my god, there's some Mortal Kombat stuff, there's some Tekken stuff, some Street Fighter, and then there's all the things like Elden Ring. There's a lot of anime stuff, and albeit I've seen a couple of anime, I'm not the biggest anime watcher by any means, so there was a lot of things I was like, oh, you know, that's from Bleach. I don't know anything about it, but it's that, right? There was a lot of different vendors where you could buy things, and I just gotta say, y'all, if you ever go to a convention of any type, I recommend Comic-Con because, first of all, there is a huge range of what you're gonna get, right? If you're into comic books, TV shows like Game of Thrones, if you're into anime of any type, they had like the most obscure anime I've never even heard of. Video games, there were so many different video game things. If you're into anything, right, they're gonna have something for you. There's a lot of Hello Kitty stuff. If I had to guess, there was probably like 10,000 minimum Funko Pops that I saw, but it was probably like 5 times more. So many different things. It was a lot of cool. We got there, I checked in, you know, did the usual. You get in there, they check like your bag and stuff like that. The dude threw away my water bottle that was full because I wanted to walk around with it, and he's like, sorry bud, you can't take this in. I'm like, okay sir. They're charging $3.50 for a water bottle, bro. That's insane. But I didn't have a choice, you know, it's hot as dare I say. So we keep going, right? We walk into the actual convention, and it was really cool. Like I said, I didn't really know what to expect. There was a whole gallery dedicated to like local artists, and people have traveled all the way to come here. Exhibitors are like the official term that's given to the vendor runners, so I'll call them that from this point on. All the exhibitors were super cool. There was a couple of jerks, but I guess, like, you know, I went on the last day of the 3-day Comic-Con experience, so I guess you could say that people were probably tired from the days. They were probably fed up with people who are either rude or just don't know how to talk to people. So I guess I'll give them that, right? But, you know, there was one vendor that I was going to buy something off of, and I ended up not buying anything. Although I did really want what they were selling, I wasn't going to support a business like that, you know, as a businessman myself, but that's neither here or there, you know? As far as what I bought, right, and this is where we're getting to, like, the IRL, I'll start showing some stuff. Oh my god. First off, I got a little wooden katana, which I'll show right here. This thing was $10, and it's really cool. I would say it's pretty good quality. Obviously, it's wooden, so you're not going to do much damage with it, but it's enough to, you know, you sit here and you're looking at it. It's pretty good quality. They have like the little ribbons at the top that are pretty nice attention to detail. It's painted in a nice like cover coat, so it's not gonna wear off if you're like smacking it against something. Trust me, I know that from experience. And it just looks cool, right? It's a cool little piece to have in the corner of your room. It's not a full-size katana. It's more maybe like a double-sized. No, I would say maybe it's like a half-size katana. You know, it's actually kind of big. But it's not the biggest, right? There was some bigger ones over there. What else did I get? I got a little necklace, right? This necklace is super cool. This is from Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched a couple of episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, growing up and throughout the years. And one of my favorite characters, Yami Bakura, actually has this necklace himself. And I saw this, I was like, I have to get it. The vendor that I bought this from had so many different things. Video games, anime, TV shows, a bunch of different like necklaces and jewelry and stuff like that. Oh my god, the widest selection of stuff. And I'm telling y'all, it's crazy because, like, it's good quality things in Comic-Con. They are made out of good material. Like, it's gold, right? But it's not, I mean, obviously, it's not like 24 carats. But it's not like a piece of metal that's just painted gold. You know, it has some heft to it. It doesn't change color. It doesn't dull or anything like that. It's super nice. It holds on its own weight, I guess you could say. It's really nice. It's such a cool experience. The same vendor actually sold me this, and y'all, I'm telling you, I had to buy this. There was no way I walked out of there without this. This is a RPD badge specifically for the STARS team. This is from Resident Evil. Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield are both part of the Alpha team of the STARS unit, and I had to buy this. This is the official badge. Like I said, it's made out of great material. The leather is, I think it's faux leather, but it's a good quality faux leather, right? The badge itself is extremely heavy. It's super nice. I mean, it's painted beautifully. It has nice, you know, bezels around the logo itself. Overall, it's just super nice. And it does kind of double as like a, almost like a dog tag, right? You can wear it around the neck. It does come with a small little chain, which is super cool. But the really cool thing about vendors at Comic-Con is as long as you ask, majority of the time, if you're buying more than one thing, they'll do like a bundle deal. So, for example, let's say the necklace was $15 and the badge was $35, right? So that's 50, right? I could do math. If you're buying it together, and if as long as you ask, majority of the time they'll say yeah. I think I bought it for like 40, right? 40 or 45. So, you know, even if it's only $5, that's still something they didn't even technically have to do. But they do it as long as you ask, or as long as you're being polite. If you don't expect handouts, you know, just be nice about it. You know, they still got to make their money, and I do understand that. I wouldn't have you know, argued with him and been like, you have to sell this to me at a discounted price. I just asked once. I was like, hey, you cool with if I buy multiple things? He's like, sure, why not? You know, he had a lot of product to sell, so I'm not surprised. There was a lot of cool, like, different types of vendors that sold weapons and stuff like that. There was a lot of different things. Like I said, if you're a video game person, I promise you, in the comments down below, name one iconic weapon from any video game you could think of. One iconic weapon. Doesn't matter how obscure it is, and I promise you they had it. They had Kratos' Leviathan axe. They had Mjolnir from God of War Ragnarok. They had Elden Ring weapons. They had Guts' sword from Berserk. They had both Ebony and Ivory, which are Dante's weapons from Devil May Cry. They had a Big Daddy drill from Bioshock, which I was a little upset that I didn't buy, but I was like, bro, I need to calm down with everything that I'm buying, right? I think those are like the two main things that I really want to get out, right? I got a couple other things, but the things that I really do want to share, first off, take a look at what your boy got. If you guys don't know, I have platinumed, I think, 4 or 5 games in my lifetime. Subnautica, Resident Evil 3 Remake, God of War Ragnarok, and Elden Ring, right? I am a god of video games. I got Ranni's Dark Moon Greatsword from Elden Ring. I went insane the second I saw this, bro. I was walking by, right, and like I said, there was a couple of different vendors who had hundreds of armaments from different animes. They had like every single Ichigo sword from Bleach. They had every single Demon Slayer katana, and multiple variants of it, right? They had like Sasuke's sword. They had Guts' huge, like, you know, 10-foot sword that he has. And I saw this because I was looking at different things. I was like, dang, I definitely want to walk out here with that weapon. That'd be super cool. I was thinking about getting a katana, which is from the other dude who was kind of being like a jerk. And he had some different like Overwatch weapons, right? Some dude was selling Reinhardt's big hammer. And the dude who's being kind of a jerk, he was selling Tracer's guns. And I was going to buy him, but, you know, the dude was a jerk. So I was like, nah, I'll just get it from somewhere else, right? But they're super cool. And when I saw this sword, it took me a second because I was like, there's no way. I'm just daydreaming. I grabbed it, I picked it up, I was like, oh my god, this is Ranni's Dark Moon Greatsword from Elden Ring. I went insane. I asked how much it was. Y'all, it was $35 for this beautiful weapon right here, bro. I bought it faster than I've probably bought anything in my entire life. It's super cool. It is great quality. The paint job is extravagant. It looks good. It's made out of, I don't know what this is called. It's kind of like a squishy, almost like a solid, expensive foam. You know, it's not like the Hulk. You guys growing up, you guys remember like those Hulk fists that you could buy from like Walmart or Target? And they would be like kind of squishy and you can punch stuff with it, but it wouldn't be too hard. It's like that, except a little more firm. I'm assuming this is probably the material that like other cosplayers actually use for their weapons. But like I said, it has a full paint job. I was carrying it around all day. It was pretty hot. My hands were sweating when I was holding it throughout the day. So the paint has held up on it. Extravagant. It didn't like melt off or anything like that, which is really cool to see. I'm definitely going to hang this like above my PC or on one of my walls or something. It is great. This is actually the weapon that Ranni gives to you when, spoiler alert, if you haven't played Elden Ring, when you officially marry her and become her consort eternal. She gives you, or you give her like the ring, of course, and then she gives you the sword. And the sword is super cool. I used it like near the end of my first playthrough. And on my second and third times of beating Elden Ring, I actually used this all the way through. You guys can go check that out. I have the live streams up still. But it's really cool. It's my favorite weapon by far in Elden Ring. And when I saw it, you know, I bought it instantly. Now, the last thing I want to talk about that I bought, right? Oh, you guys are not going to believe this. I'm actually going to hold it while I talk about it. Yes, sir. Y'all hear that? Yup. This is Mjolnir from God of War Ragnarok. The most infamous battle from God of War Ragnarok, of course, being Kratos versus Thor in the opening scenes of God of War Ragnarok. Such a good fight. One of the best fights in the entirety of every single God of War. I'll say top 3, bro. And I saw this and I freaked out. I was literally on the other side of the table buying the Dark Moon Greatsword. And I saw this and I pushed everyone out of the way. I was like, move, y'all, move! And I picked it up and I held it. It's heavy, first of all. If I had to guess, this thing's probably like 5 pounds, right? Which obviously it's not heavy if you're just talking about lifting it up. But for a hammer, right? For a cosplay weapon of sorts, it's pretty cool. You know, I'm not even the type of person to cosplay, so when I'm buying these weapons, I call them cosplay weapons. For me, obviously, they're gonna go on like my setup. But, you know, I might do some cosplay. I might dabble in some cosplay if it means I get to wield these swords 24/7. Oh my god, y'all. This Mjolnir is so cool. I saw this instantly. I mean, the extravagant details on the actual, I don't know what it's called. The mallet itself, the head of the hammer. It has all of the runes, obviously, from God of War Ragnarok. It's amazing. A really cool thing about this, I was like losing my mind about, and the reason that I thought it was so cool was because this hammer, and I don't know if this is the exact one, but it looks like 1-to-1 scale from what I've seen. Did a little bit of research. This looks like the one that comes in the collector's edition and the Jotnar edition for God of War Ragnarok. If you pay like $200, right, you get the game, you get the steelbook, the soundtrack, a couple other things, and then you get actual Mjolnir, like 1-to-1 scale replica. This looks like the exact one, and I don't know how they had this. I held it in my hands, and the dude instantly was like, "Oh, you like that?" I was like, "Yeah, this is, I like this a lot." And he was like, "Yeah, this is the last one," so I'm assuming that they had some pretty good luck selling it to other people. But he was like, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you for," I forgot what the original price was, but since I was buying Ranni's Dark Moon Greatsword as well, I got a discount price. I think I paid $70 for this and the Dark Moon Greatsword, which $35 if you break it down for each. And I'm telling y'all, that is one of the best deals I've ever had in my entire life. I bought it instantly. I walked out with the Greatsword in one hand and the hammer in the other. This is so good. It is beautiful. It smells like homeowner's paint. But it's really good. Like the colors are super vibrant. It's heavy, like I said. It is a great material to be made out of. The actual handle itself, like the wood part of the hammer, is pretty stiff, and the head of the hammer is just like a little bit squishy. Like if you press hard enough, you can squish it just a little bit, right? But not really. It's not like a squishy that you're probably thinking of. It's extremely firm. It's such a great quality. It has like wear on the head of the hammer to make it look like it's war torn. You know, this is one of the best things I've ever bought in my entire life. Like I said, I'm definitely going to like put these around my room and keep it nice for my setup. I just like to buy one thing from every single game that I play, or games that really stick with me. I have stuff from Resident Evil, stuff from Hollow Knight. Now I have stuff from Resident Evil 3, specifically Jill's badge from Stars, which is, you know, I going into it, I didn't even expect to buy anything. I was like, you know, as long as I have a good time, I'll be fine with that. But buying the RPD badge from Resident Evil was so cool. Buying Mjolnir from God of War Ragnarok, which is a game that I platinumed on the channel. So, you know, it's a really cool trophy of to myself. You know, like something to let me know every time I look at it. I did that. I platinumed the game. I contested every single doubter, and I did it. You know, and of course, Elden Ring being my introduction to the Soulsborne series, my first one, and I platinumed it. You know, on the channel. One of the most successful, to this day, one of the most successful playthroughs I ever had on my channel. It broke a lot of records when Elden Ring was on the channel. And I platinumed it, you know. Favorite weapon, favorite character being Ranni, and my favorite weapon being the one that she gives to you. So I bought it in real life, you know, that's a pretty big flex in my book. There was a lot of different things, you know. I definitely think if I go to another Comic-Con in the future, I'm going to buy a bunch of other things. But another really cool thing of buying stuff from like vendors and people who work extremely hard. I mean, there were some artists who had some really good art. There was people, I'd say majority of the people who were selling weapons probably made it from their own two hands. You know, like they either do that or they manufacture it themselves through their company or something like that, right? But at the end of the day, I like to think that I was supporting these small businesses or even like individual sellers who just had a dream of, you know, making a product for someone and hopefully, you know, getting profit in return, you know, helping make some people smile. There's a lot of good art. People are selling comic books. Of course, there's a lot of comic books there. It's Comic-Con. But the thing I like the most, right, is the fact that regardless of who you are, and I promise you when I say this, regardless of who you are or what you like, if you go in a Comic-Con especially, from my experience, you're going to find something for you. whether it be like an art piece or a celebrity you like, or maybe it's different things like, you know, maybe like books, maybe like manga, maybe like wallets. They had bags, they had plushes, they had a lot of plushes. There's a lot of like really good deals too, but I'm not really someone who collects plushes, you know. But you know, shout out to people who do. There's a lot of weapons, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of like Genshin stuff too, which, you know, I haven't played Genshin since it first came out, so I know like the Genshin community is still pretty strong and toxic at times. But you know, that aside, jokes aside, it's pretty cool, and it is really cool to see people enjoying themselves. That's not even mentioning all the people who dressed up. There's a lot of really cool cosplays. There was a lot of Spider people, obviously, because Across the Spider-Verse just came out. It's a really big thing. And I'd say Spider-Man in general has always just been a really beloved character. It's really cool to see people get super creative with their things. They'll get like some League of Legends character and some comic book hero and combine them into one costume and just go crazy with creativity. It's just really cool to see. And that's it for today, y'all. I just wanted to give my personal experience, you know, my first-hand ever convention, right? So it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. I walked out with a lot of cool things, some nice decorations for my room, and, you know, just things that are going to stick with me forever. And the memories, the moments, spending time with family, that's a feeling like no other. So if you've ever been to a convention, let me know in the comments below. What is your experience? Did you guys walk out with anything? You know, feel free to share. I would love to interact with you guys. It was a lot of fun. I'd love to talk about it some more. But that is it for today. Thank you guys so much. If you guys are new, consider subscribing, as I do post content like this daily. This is my first hand at, you know, a commentary IRL type of commentary, I guess you could say. You know, so let me know how I did. Have a great day. Stay safe. Take care. Peace. Adios. And of course, until next time. Bye-bye, y'all.